There was an article that came out maybe a few days ago out of New York City. Now, the city has came up with a new law about using a certain term. And if you use the term illegal alien out of hate, there's something that comes along with that. So now it's against the law in New York City to threaten to call immigration authorities or refers to them as an illegal alien when motivated by hate. That's interesting. But just that's it. I mean, we're not going to go, and cover every group of people. Well, let's continue. It says the restrictions, violations of which punishable by fines of $250,000 per offense, are outlined on a 29-page directive released by the City Hall's Commission on Human Rights. Say the directive goes on to list several examples and acts and comments that would run afoul of the restrictions, including harassing people over their accents or grasp of English or wielding the threat to call immigration and customs enforcement as a tool of hate. They say a hotel prohibits its housekeepers from speaking Spanish while cleaning because it would offend hotel guests or make them uncomfortable, reads one hypothetical. So it said an Indian immigrant family complains to their landlord about mold and cockroaches in their unit. The landlord tells him just deal with it and threatens to call ICE if they file a complaint in the housing court, reads another. One would be a store owner tells two friends who are speaking Thai while shopping in a store to speak English and go back to their country, reads a third. So they say the Commission on Human Rights made clear its directive is at least part of a rebuke of federal crackdowns on illegal immigration. It continues to say, in the face of increasingly hostile national rhetoric, it said we would do everything in our power to make sure our treasured immigrant communities are able to live with dignity and respect, free from harassment and bias. That was Carmelyn Malayas. She's the agency's commissioner. Now, the directive comes months after Mayor Bill de Blasio vocally opposed coordinated raids by ICE on the city's immigrant communities. It said, meanwhile, they said the mayor's office of immigrant affairs announced a joint $1 million investment with the state to guarantee legal services to immigrants facing imminent deportation. Okay, so the state of New York is a Democrat-ran state. The reason why you hear me talk more and more about the Democrat Party is because the Democrat Party has an agenda and they're making the agenda very clear. The agenda does not include everybody. It includes those who they are targeting as their voting bloc now or their potential next voting bloc. Even if you study the data, they're targeting those who are coming across the border. And let's say they do get a citizenship. A lot of them vote Republican. They don't vote Democrat. Their votes are actually split votes. If you look at the previous election, you had so much voted Democrat, a lot more voted Republican, and then a lot of them did not vote at all. Just like the Asian community's vote is split as well. So many vote Republican, so many vote Democrat. Every group, their votes split except the black community. Our votes, for the most part, is mostly going to go politically to the left. That's how black people normally have been voting. Now, the black vote has been definitely taken for granted. At this point, they're saying, I don't care nothing about y'all. Just come out and vote. Trump's a racist, so you just need to come out and vote. While they're doing everything they can to cater to those, no matter who they are, coming into the country, and they possibly could be here illegally, no matter who they are, whether they came over here across the border or they flew into this country, which a lot of them do. They fly into this country and their visa expires. They're considered illegal too, not just the ones coming across the border. There's a lot of people in this country that's illegal. You have a lot of Chinese that come into this country illegally on a visa. They go into Chinatown and then they don't have to leave it because everything they need is right there because they have a sustained economy for themselves. They don't have to go out in the workforce and try to find anything. They're good. So that's why you will hardly ever see any Chinese getting rounded up with ICE raids. But you have the people south of the border coming in, they're working more of the other jobs, so they're a little bit more of a target. I would say this rule was good if this rule was for everybody. For instance, you can still call black people the N-word in New York all day long. And you could call the police on black people for just selling water or selling whatever, and that's no problem. You can threaten to call the police on black people. You could threaten to do whatever you want to us, and that's okay in the city of New York. That's okay. You can call other groups of people racial slurs. You can do that, and that's okay in the city of New York. You can call women slurs, men slurs. You can talk about people's orientation. You can talk about people's disability, age, whatever. You can do all of that to everybody else. But in the city of New York, you better not use a federally recognized term, which is the term illegal alien comes from the federal government. That is not a slur that people made up. And it describes those who's in the country illegally. That's what it describes. Now, when they talk about calling ICE, the majority of people that I know, the majority of people in the black community and other communities, they're not up here trying to say, I'm going to call ICE. That's usually racists that try to pull that mess for the most part, or people trying to get over on a immigrant that they know is illegal. So they say, hey, you know, either deal with it or I'm going to call ICE on you. OK, that would be wrong in that sense. But New York, you're clearly telling the Democrat strategy, and we know this. So you'd have played it off a lot better if you said this rule was for everybody and you couldn't have no slurs, no hate. And then I'd be like, hey, man, New York is being the place where everybody is treated equally, that you can't go there screaming and yelling racial slurs and, you know, just calling the police to try to harm, you know, people, etc. I would be the biggest champion of that. Now, New York did put in that rule about the natural hair aspect. I celebrate that. I agree with that. California also put that in. I agree with that. But this particular rule here, this one, you're going to have a court challenge on you for even trying to put that fine on anybody, for one. Number two, the Democrat Party has definitely told us, because, you know, we focus on, you know, us here and also throughout the diaspora, but black voters, black American voters here, you're telling us that we don't matter at all. Black Americans do not matter to you, because in the city of New York, you could still call us the N-word. You still could want to march down the street and be hateful. You still have issues of police brutality, and you Democrats don't say nothing or do nothing. But when it comes to people that haven't even voted for you in the past 50 and 60 years, obviously, you're more worried about them and what they have going on. So much so that you're going to put a $250,000 fine on a person for even making a quote unquote threat of calling ICE. Now, if you go to the ICE website, it actually tells you, which is a federal agency, whether you agree with it or not, it says, if you know of anyone that's like that in that status, call us. They say that. So I can see a challenge coming legally from this, but it's not even about the legal challenge of it being struck down. The fact is, you're supposed to be so inclusive and so tolerant, Democrats, that you didn't make sure everyone was included in this. You wonder why black Americans are extremely pissed off right now, extremely upset with the Democrat Party. Then you try to play these games when black people bring this up to your attention. Oh, you just want to go vote for Trump. Nobody mentioned Trump. Nobody said a word about Trump. But you guys are doing so bad that you have people saying one or two things. I'm going to repeat that. They're saying either they're going to stay at home and let y'all have it, or some people saying they're going to come out and vote for Trump just to spite y'all. Like who? I'm telling y'all picked the worst guy to run y'all party. He's an idiot. He's a complete idiot. He don't look at data. He don't look at anything, because the first thing I'm going to look at if I'm running a political party is the data. Who votes for us? You know, who we trying to get more of? What's the strategy? And if I got a voting block that's for me and I can depend on them 80, 90%, but I'm gonna make sure they're taken care of, because I can guarantee their votes. Just make sure I listen to them, and I don't want them to walk away. OK, then I'm looking at other groups. If I want to build my voter base in other groups, I need to figure out how I can do that. But the way they're saying, it's like, forget our most faithful block and let's focus on people who can't even vote for us in the 2020 election. That is not a smart strategy. I mean, statistically, it's not a smart strategy. It's not. So that's what I'm saying. This guy that's running, he's an idiot. And when Donald Trump wins, don't blame black people. I'm going to repeat that again. Do not come up here and blame black people, because the moment y'all try to blame black America for anything, I'm going in on you, because I'm going to say all these videos I made pointing out what you guys are doing that's so stupid. It doesn't even match up with the data that's already out there based on voter trends and what people are going. Just because black people are asking for their reparations that this government owe, you don't want to pay that. You rather try to impeach Donald Trump, which is not going to happen. You're not going to impeach him. It's so late in the game. Why would you even try to impeach him by now? If you were going to do it, you should have did it a long time ago. You're trying all this way to impeach Donald Trump just so you don't have to deal with black folks about their reparations. Please, we still coming at you about the reparations. We still asking you. We still asking you about police brutality, how black folks in Democrat cities are still being killed by police, and you do nothing about it. You don't do a thing. But if a person even says the word illegal alien, now they can get a $250,000 fine. That's amazing, Democrat Party. That's very, very amazing. But leave me a comment, let me know what you think about this particular story. That's really something that should be just, well, it is illegal. I mean, it's completely illegal and it's going to get shot down. But it's just the Democrats telling us how they feel about us, and really how they feel about everybody else for that matter, but especially us as voters. And when you see that turnout be extremely low, just don't complain.